So we use lots of different frameworks within the micro solidarity program as a sort of intentional gesture to say there are many frameworks, and don't get too hung up on one. um I really, yeah, it's easy to get excited about one framework and then sort of like get dogmatic about it. So you have people that are really into authentic relating, and they're like, if everyone just talk to each other, or nonviolent communication, maybe even a bigger version of this, where like, when I first learned about nonviolent communication, like it really helped me communicate about difficult topics and like stay in connection with someone and say, hey, this is really upsetting me and I need some kind of changes. It's really enlightening and I get excited about it. And then I want to tell everyone, like, you should do nonviolent communication. You should follow my script, and if only everyone's followed my script, then we wouldn't have any conflict in the world. So I find it really useful to just sample from lots of different schools of thought and sort of appreciate what they're each good for. So yeah, NVC, nonviolent communication, was an early one for me that made a big impact. Theory U, the Presencing Institute, there's a whole school of thought around that. I think in the practice program we use the case clinic, which for me is probably the best small group peer coaching process that I know. It's kind of like a mastermind or something, but the way that they have, Theory U is like this massive, massive school of thought with some very experienced practitioners. And there's some, like, for example, there's an awesome online course you can take for free called the U Lab. It's like this massive cohort of people going through this thing together and learning about Theory U. And they've somehow managed to distill all of the principles of this whole school of thought into a case clinic, which takes like 60, 70 minutes. It's just it's like a hologram or something, it's like they pack so much into so little. So I really appreciate that. More and more, I love liberating structures. So liberating structures is kind of the principle there is like most meetings are a waste of time because we do them the wrong way. It's like typical meeting format is like one person talking and everyone listening, or there's like a couple of basic shapes that meetings tend to take, and they're very inefficient for accessing collective intelligence. And so liberating structures is this like growing menu of, hey, look, these are some different ways that you can run a meeting that activate everyone's intelligence, that get everyone engaged, that like you don't spend a lot of time just sitting and listening, you're much more interactive. So that's been one that's been really informative, I think, for me. And this is one of the upshots, I think, of the Inspiral community, is there's a critical mass of facilitators from different schools of thought that are like, again, it's like a music scene. It's like people just sharing, like, oh, have you heard about this? Like it's kind of just sharing tips of the trade with each other. So I never, I've done almost no facilitation training. I've just been exposed to these different schools of facilitation. Another one, art of hosting. The art of hosting is really strong. They're like basically have been involved with the European Commission for a long time, shaping how that whole massive institution is much more collaborative in its way of working, and some of the principles I learned there. So like one of the principles from art of hosting is never host alone. And you'll notice like on the micro solidarity program, there's always at least two facilitators. And that's like such a golden nugget of wisdom when it comes to organizing. If you've got one person that's your ally that is going to have your back, it's so much easier to host a group when you've got at least that one person that's like, that you're really solid homie that's going to back you up. So yeah, there's loads of them. I could probably rattle off more, but those are the top of mind ones that I think probably had the most influence on me.